What's up, everyone? This is BigPowner. Today, this is not going to be a guide video. This is just kind of going to be an update video for players that did start with the ice shot build, just so that they kind of have some direction as they're going along. I've made it through the axe. The bosses are definitely harder. But that being said, the build is working really well. I'm actually winded up using the artillery ballista. My gear is really bad. Getting to maps, my gear was like really bad. Still able to complete everything, and I was still able to jump in and start doing tier 1 maps. Um, I've barely started upgrading. Most of my gear and my links are in the gear that you get from quests. So I'm only using 4 link gear that I got from quests for my 2 4 links. The helmet's one of the quests in Act 6. That's where I got my first 6 link. That's where I'm using my ice shot in. And then in Act 10, you get the armor that's a 4 link as one of the quest rewards. And those are where I'm using my 2 4 links. I am using the artillery ballista, and I have been using it, and I've also been using the other ballistas throughout the game. I would definitely suggest using them. Um, they definitely help. They definitely help with killing the bosses. The bosses are definitely a lot tougher, and if your leveling process, like me, was not resulting in like really good gear, then you're probably going to want a little bit extra damage. The reason why I've been using the artillery ballista is because in my tree, I've been going through and there's a lot of elemental nodes. I went with elemental damage, so it's going to be scaling that, and then obviously all the bow modifiers. The only things that aren't going to directly affect it very much, at least, are the cold damage modifiers. Um, so it and then I took this down here, elemental penetration. So you can kind of see where I went. You're definitely going to want to get the defensive. I went down into here and got these defensive. And I'm about to finish this off. These are kind of like later. I went for these for the 3% extra. I went for this for the 3% extra dodge, but also because my resistances were negative when I was coming into the mapping process. So early, I would suggest coming across here, come up through here, get this area. You definitely want to come over here early and get this. If you want more survivability, what I did is I came down here and I filled out this way for the damage first. I got this, and then I came up here. I got this node here. You're going to want to pick up Omen of the Winds. It is the five, Act 5. You get it as a gem reward. Um, so when you get the chance to get the Omen of the Winds, that's going to help you a lot. Um, because it gives you the 3 shots pierce, and early you're not going to have the chain. So what I have been running and what I ran through maps was ice shot with lesser multiple projectiles, inspiration once I got it, and cold penetration. Before I had inspiration, I was using the elemental damage with attack skill. Um, this is the gem setup that seems to work the best as far as just like getting through maps. Honestly, I've just been using it to kill the bosses too. I haven't even been changing it for a while. I was swapping gems, and I just didn't really need to. Um, my bow's mediocre for my level at this point. You also get a 4 link bow as a reward. I was using that for a while. The highborn bow is something you can get a little bit early, or that series of bows is actually really good. The mixture of the attack speed with increased elemental damage makes it a really good bow after the bow rebalances this season for this build. Obviously, I'm going to be going for the Imperial bow. Um, Today, that's going to be my goal, is to farm the cards for the 6 link Imperial Legacy bow. So that's what I will be doing today. Um, I will probably have this build once again done in like, a couple days, but I wanted to just kind of give you guys the direction. So after you get up here, you get this. If you've gotten this jewel yet, then you're going to want to go ahead and open this up as soon as you do. Then I would come up here. I would get all this as the next priority, give you more defense. Then come across here. I go down here because this gives us evasion and increased damage and increased max life. You can come down here and get more elemental damage, more elemental penetration. Then you're going to want to come up here and go for this. You're going to get big life nodes. And then come up here, we get more area of effect. Here we're going to pick up some of intelligence, and then we get critical stats, critical chance, critical multiplier, damage, more critical strike chance. Then we get some more big health nodes, and we get life gained on kill, increased attack speed. That is going to pretty much take you to like 60, 60 something, 50 something. Then you can come down here, grab this. And kind of at that point, like I said, some of these you might not necessarily need. Maybe you get better gear and you have better resistances and you don't need this. Maybe you want more damage. Kind of prioritize. That's the main path. These are things that I'm going to be, for the most part, keeping. There will be some changes as I get better gear. Like eventually, I'm going to want to get a lionized fall. So I'll be getting this at that point, and then I'll take and fill in this when I have a lion's eye fall, because then I'll be able to use that to get my critical hit chance, my critical hit chance close to 100%, which will be really nice. And then when that does happen, I'll probably wind up dropping these nodes. Eventually, I'll try to get an intuitive leap so that I can get rid of this node, this node, this node, and be able to just fill in this one, this one, this one, and this one. I may wind up filling this up for now because my life is super low. I'm at 2300 HP. Like I said, my gear is bad. Um, but it is working really well. I am able to do maps, and I have been able to. I did go ahead and grab my ascendancies. Two of my ascendancies. I started going up here. Got my chain. Next, I plan to get the endless munitions for the extra projectile, because early it's going to be hard for people to get extra projectiles, just because the gear is going to be less accessible. So that would be a good suggestion. The other thing that you can choose to do is pick up the Gathering Winds earlier, if you're having trouble with survivability, because it's 1,000 evasion. Um, but that whether you go up here and fill this out first, or grab your gathering winds first, is kind of going to be based on whether you need more projectiles or you want to start getting your chain so you can switch to the chain gem. The thing is this is actually going to make your skills better for targeted DPS, and the reason why is because we can get a +2 on the chain, which that gives us +3, which means when you're hitting a single target, you're getting 30% more damage. Because it's the first target that hits it, there's 3 chains left, that's 30% more. Eventually, you will be able to, if you play long enough, grind hard enough, and you're planning to get the plus gems, the plus uh, the gem plus for the chain gives +3. So then just with the ascendancy and that, you will have 4 chains. And at that point, you're going to want to get rid of the pierce. Um, but at that point also, you're now going to have 40% more damage coming from the chain on this, which that's huge. So that will definitely help with the targeted DPS. Anyways, just wanted to get this quick video up, just to give a little bit of direction to people that were planning on doing the build. I will have the guide out soon, and I will show you guys what direction I have actually gone with. The one other thing I do want to say is the siege ballista does have a lot more targeted damage. So if it's like a stationary boss or something that you really need more damage for, you can be running the siege ballista. Also, you could put it into a secondary bow to keep it leveled up, um, because it just hits harder. The thing is with a lot of these bosses, they bounce around, and the 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 artillery ballista, because it hits an AoE, it's almost always going to be hitting them. And although like this is 1600 DPS and you know my oh, so it's 2460 versus 12,330. So this is going to be like the total DPS is going to be what 7380. So it is an all right constant damage. But to give you an idea, which ones? It's like almost double the damage with the siege ballista. So the siege ballistas basically are, in this case, without my buffs on, you can see it's doubling my damage. With the buffs on, it's actually like over 1.5 added damage for target DPS. So if you are really having trouble killing bosses, make sure you keep the siege, the artillery ballista leveled up so that you can have it, or not the artillery, the siege ballista. Make sure that you have that leveled up. But the other thing with the artillery ballista is it's really nice because if you are trying to rush through the axe to get to the end game, it's really easy to, like, they made these really fast for dropping. So you can just literally just run through maps and just drop them down and just let them kill stuff. So that's how you can be collecting XP while still, you pop your flask, drop three, and just keep running. It will collect you up some XP. So that's another thing that I was doing once I did get access to those. Uh, Anyways, I hope you guys are having a great start to your season. Um, I do want to say, just don't don't get don't get down if you're dying. Like they definitely made the boss fights, like some of the boss fights, like really hard. So don't be discouraged. Yeah, I mean, if you're playing hardcore, I don't think there's any way to not get discouraged when you die, but maybe it's not a good season to be starting with a hardcore character, um, because I don't know if I would ever make it to Axe on this season. I'm not a hardcore player, but there's I feel like it would take a really long time on hardcore to get through the axe unless you're like a professional hardcore racer or something. Anyways, hope you guys are having a great season start, and I will talk to you guys soon with a full guide for the ice shot build. Peace.